coffee tasting notes. Does what it says on the bag actually taste like that when you brew the coffee?
No. It is the equivalent of modern art. I saw this video, and it was this amazing painting that I was like, I would pay top dollar for that, put it in my house. Looks sweet, looks like something you would see Urban Outfitters, Free People, whatever. And it was literally drawn by a 2-year-old. And I just go, you could have been like, this is modern art. If you don't understand, it's because you're uncultured. And you're like, that's a 2-year-old. And I think there's a part where I go, seeing some of the stuff on coffee is dumb. I have seen the most pretentious notes on coffee.
Yeah.
To the point that I had a friend that literally, not a coffee drinker, bought it and was like, he was expecting it literally to be like, it says apple and it says chocolate. This should taste like that. And I think some people get like a little misleading. Or they're literally just throwing stuff. They're like, we need something for the box, and all of the coffee say the same things.
Yeah. No, I've definitely, like, I bought some coffees. I'm like, whoa, like, lemongrass tea. Like, that sounds so interesting. And then it's just the most basic, bland, boring, run-of-the-mill coffee. And I'm like, I feel like you just put these fancy words on here so I would see and be like, oh, that sounds so good. Yeah. Which is like obvious, like you're not going to put like, oh, kind of bland and in the middle. Yeah. And there's coffees that are kind of like that. That's just like good middle of the road, not your fruity strawberry, whatever. And those, they're fine. But you're not going to put that on the bag.
Yeah.
You're not going to, middle of the road diner coffee. Like, you're not going to put that on the bag. You're going to say,
you could.
You could, honestly. But you're going to say it tastes like jasmine petals and whatever else fancy that sounds fun.
We have like the coffee, I think it's the Coffee Coalition. I forget what they're called. But they came out with a tasting graph, like this like little infograph of like all the flavors and what goes. Mm-hmm. And whenever we roast, we really try to stay on the top. Because you really get into them and you're talking about like the smallest hints of things. And I feel like I've seen too many roasters just go like, we're going to do the most obscure ones. It's man, stay with cocoa. Like, this is our Guatemala. Yeah, we say citrus sweet. That's like a pretty good, it is usually like a little sweeter on the tongue. There is like a small citrus taste.
Yeah, there's some that are like, honeysuckle or subterranean fruit husk. It's like, have you ever tasted the note that you're saying it is?
I know. I'm like, oh my
Like,
gosh.
you don't know what that tastes like.
The ones that I usually, and I don't think, have we tried a natural wash coffee? Do we do a natural wash coffee? Like leave the husk on, ferment? Or
we have before. I can't remember off the top of my head if any of our current origins are, but
we should get back into that. We'll put that on the docket to roast. I think those, like coffees, there's a process where they leave the coffee cherry, the flesh around it when it dries. And it can bring out like some really, really fruity flavors.
Yeah.
Those, you can put blueberry on the box because it literally, bloom it. And people that don't drink coffee are like, is that tea?
Like, what did you put in that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like, I feel like a lot of the times it does a disservice to the coffees that are actually like, taste like there was one, if I remember it, I'll throw a photo of it, what roaster it's from. But it's a pink bag. I think it's from Japan.
It's from Japan.
It's from Japan. It tastes like peach candy. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing added to it. It just tastes straight like peach candy. And I feel like that's how some middle of the road coffee shops advertise their coffee.
Yeah. They have another one that tastes like the strawberry wafer cookies that come in like the sleeve.
One of the best coffees ever had.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's crazy.
And you know what's funny? I don't think they have any tasting notes on the bag.
You might be right.
They're like, it's a good cup of coffee.
Right.
But honestly, if more coffee shops, I think this is like and maybe we should start doing this with one of our roasts. Like, instead of trying to stress yourself out or like go, we have to pick some tasting notes, legitimately, if you just reference where and how you think someone should drink it, like, this is a good neutral coffee.
That's not a bad thought.
It's
honestly.
not like you're not going like, hey, if you're new to this, this is a good straight. Our house blend is what you want in your head when you think of diner coffee. And hear me out. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it's like you watch like those 80 movies, the movies in the 80s.
Yeah.
They're like sitting at the plate, like diner late at night, you know, I want a cup of coffee. Yeah. But you know that's going to taste like just dirt. Our house blend is amazing. You'll love it. Your grandpa will love it.
Yes. I feel like too, like it's, and we've had this a lot, it can be very confusing for people that aren't into like this style of like third wave coffee. They're like, oh, how'd you guys put the chocolate in your coffee? Like, how'd you put that flavoring in your coffee? It's like, oh, it's not like cinnamon bun flavored coffee. The natural coffee has natural like hints of that. But pretty consistently, how'd you guys get that flavor? What flavorings do you guys use? And it's like, we don't use any. It's just how the coffees naturally taste. And it's just part of like educating people on coffee because, and I would say for like our generation, it's less so. I feel like that kind of coffee knowledge is a little bit more standard. Yeah. But you go like a generation or two up and they've never had anything out of Maxwell House. So they have no idea. Like, different coffees have different flavor tasting profile notes, let alone the time of year it was harvested, how it was processed. I mean, it's so complicated that people just don't know because they've never been introduced to it. So it's kind of like chocolate. Like people say the same thing with chocolate. Like the average person, I'm like, I love chocolate. But like real chocolate people know, okay, well, technically this is a different process of chocolate. This chocolate from a different region tastes different. Whereas I just see Ghirardelli and I'm like, chocolate. So
I would say I'm a chocolate snob. I get real into it. I would say I don't like chocolate. I like I'm going to like the candy section and going for the obscure chocolate bars. No, that's a good one. The other thing I appreciate this is past like tasting notes, but more like along the lines of like it should be on your website, packaging, all that, because it's very appreciative, is like for best results. Like I bought a bag of rice and it was like for best results, wash your rice, do this, use this ratio. And I feel like it's rare when you see like a coffee place like go committing to for best results, use this ratio, use third wave, because sometimes you buy this really nice bag and it's like, sometimes your customers don't know. It's like, you're not going to get the best if you're not doing RO or if you're just using tap water.
Right. And I feel like coffee culture, it just kind of assumes you know everything.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're buying this kind of coffee, you've got a pour over setup. You've got, cut. Like you've got the pour over kettle, you've got the fellow, you've got, all the little knickknacks, doohickeys, you're obsessed with this. And really, the people buying this kind of coffee is already a sub percentage of everyone. But then those obsessive people, and I wouldn't even say we're those people that are like super obsessive about coffee. So it's like, I feel like coffee shops and everyone assume you are that super fragmented section of coffee drinkers.
You've already been part of the conversation when sometimes you haven't. One of the things I love is we got this pour steady in our coffee shop, and you can dial in everything, and it's got 5 different inputs, and it's all automated, and it's really convenient. You can dial in the recipes right there, and we like dial in recipes with our roasters. So it's like at home, I typically do, I think, an 18-to-1 ratio. I'll do 36 grams, 612 of water, but it like depends on the road. That's my default. But it's like if you had it on the bag, hey, we've tested this. We think you shouldn't use an 18-to-1 ratio. It should be a 21-to-1.
Yeah.
I think that's like a nice thing, and it shows like teaches people, but it also like you're spending like $20 on a bag of coffee. You don't want to try and dial it in.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to get it and be like, oh, don't use that in this. Whatever you do, don't put it in a French press. I don't care what you do.
That's what we're next. We're going to rank the best and worst. We're going to just do it.
Ooh.
A ranking video.
Yeah.
Best and worst brewing methods.
I already have some in mind, but I'm gonna save my thoughts for that video.
But yeah, I was like, I think it's like a nice, it helps you bring out the tasty notes you actually put on that box.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I feel like that.
Put in the comments what the weirdest tasty notes you've seen on a bag of coffee.
I really want to know.
And then tag the roaster, because we really want to see this.
Yeah. And maybe we'll try it, and maybe it will taste like that.
Maybe it will. Maybe you're the problem.
If you're using that city tap water, though, at least put a filter on your faucet, okay? At least.
Oh, jeez, I didn't think about that. Yeah, no, we sprung for the RO system.
Okay.
Crippling, Dad.
Cool.
Sipping around. Should we say that this is sparkling water? It's sparkling water. We're in between video shoots and we're trying to cleanse our palate. Should have plastic dip these cups.